What is up, everybody? Trains and Marvel Fan 2002 back again, here for a brand new video. Except in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the Lionel 2004 Thomas the Tank Engine. Now, before we do get started on this full review and run on this amazing model of number one himself, I do have a couple of announcements to make. My first announcement is that in my last video, we took a look at the Bachmann 58744 HO scale Gordon. If you guys haven't seen that video, I highly recommend checking it out because it is without a doubt one of Bachmann's best models. The next announcement I have to make is that my brand new Tommy Thomas series is well underway. Full production has already started on the first episode, and episodes 1 and 2 are going to be coming out sometime the week of the 12th. So stay tuned for that, guys. Now, with those announcements out of the way, there are some things I'm going to be mentioning here in this review and run on the Lionel Thomas the Tank Engine. We are going to be taking a brief history on the model itself to where the model's at today. And before we do give Thomas a run, we will be taking a look at his coaches as well, which I have to the side to me over here. So yeah, any of you guys didn't notice too, I still have my Christmas tree up. We're slowly starting to take our Christmas decorations down as we are currently in early 2024. So yes, in this review, we'll be taking a brief history on the real Lionel Thomas from 1998 all the way till now, and we'll be taking a look at the model itself, that being this one here. So yeah, so with that said, let's get started, shall we? So all the way back in the 1990s, Lionel first released their Thomas and Friends line, starting of course with the G-scale engines as part of Shining Time Station, where they released Thomas and James, alongside with Annie, Clarabelle, and the Troublesome Trucks. Now with that aside, it wasn't until 1998 Lionel released their very first O-scale Thomas the Tank Engine. Now this Thomas I do not have, unfortunately, but basically with the 1998 Thomas, his face was a still face, similar to this one, except his eyes did not move. And also, the blue was a lot different on the model. Annie and Clarabelle, of course, had different designs. You guys pretty much know what happens from here. So with that aside, Lionel also released in the late 90s, Percy. Now, it was only Thomas and Percy that was released during this era, but it wasn't until the early 2000s, which we'll get to next. In early 2001, Lionel released their first ever, second Lionel O-scale Thomas and Friends set, where it came with Thomas, as you guys see here, with moving eyes, and of course 3 interchangeable faces. So, yes. So with that aside, as the years did go on with the Lionel Thomas and Friends line, Lionel did re-release Percy in 2006 with moving eyes, alongside with Devious Diesel, and also James. Now, let's flash forward from early 2000s and 2010 to 2016 and 17, shall we? So in the late 2010s, Lionel did re-release the Thomas and Friends engines. Thomas, Percy, James, Diesel, Arian, Bert. But with the new Line Chief technology. And yeah, for its time, the Line Chief technology was cool for the Thomas and Friends engines. All you had to do was put in 2 batteries in your remote, that being 2 AAA batteries, like the Trackmaster 2 engines run on, and basically, you put your engine on the track, and they run as smooth as butter. But unfortunately, this line was also too good to last, because after the Bluetooth Well, sorry about that. What I meant to say is, after the Lion Chief Thomas engines were first discontinued, as well as the first Christmas Thomas, us Thomas fans thought that Lionel wouldn't re-release them. But they did. In early 2018, if not 2019, Lionel re-released the Thomas engines with the new Bluetooth technology, where you could run the engines from your phone instead of an old school transformer. They released Thomas, Christmas Thomas, along with Thomas's buddies, James and Percy, as well as Diesel. But sadly, no Arian Bert. So, that is the brief history of the Lionel O-scale Thomas engines from 1998 all the way to 2023. Now, before we do get started also with the Thomas himself, Lionel does still have these engines. You can find them on Lionel.com for a relatively decent price. Now, with the history of the Lionel Thomas and Friends line aside, let's take a look at the Lionel Thomas himself. The presentation is really important. It's clear to everyone that this is Thomas the Tank Engine, with his iconic number 1 and his baby blue paintwork. Now, I have to say, the presentation of the model is really nice. I think Lionel did a pretty solid job making Thomas. The blue itself looks really nice. Thomas's pinstriping is phenomenal, alongside with his iconic number 1. Even his wheel detailing Lionel did pretty well. Now, there can't be a positive without a negative. Now, my huge nitpicks with the Lionel Thomas is his wheels are far past where his ladder is, leaving this huge gap in the chassis. Something that Thomas DOTD mentioned, which, huge shout out to him. And there's another big issue too I do have with the Lionel Thomas. It's his buffers. Now, compared to the Bachmann Thomas models, which their buffers are pretty spot on, and pretty accurate to the television series, Thomas's buffers are a little too small for O-gauge. And I do really wish Lionel would fix that. Maybe on like their 2024 Bluetooth model, but again, beggars can't be choosers. So, with the buffer con aside, the model itself is still a pretty nice model. Even too, one thing that Lionel also did a phenomenal job with the Thomas model is his back lamp. Yes, even though it is part of the mold, it does look very nice. And also too, on the back you have his back buffers, as well as a knuckle coupler here to attach Thomas to some troublesome trucks, Annie and Clarabelle, or maybe some Pullman cars. So, with those cons aside, what about the positives? Well, Thomas's paint job does look very nice, along with his window and whistle detailing, even though I wish they would have been more gold to kind of represent that of the television series prop, but it does still look nice regardless. So, Thomas's side of the model is really well done. His window detailing is also pretty nice. I'm kind of close to the television series prop from seasons 1 through 12. And also, his coal load is also really nice, alongside with the back window detailing. Now, since this is an older model of Thomas, you can actually remove the cab roof here to turn on these dials. Now, these dials here are for the transformer. You can make you could turn Thomas's whistle off or on, and the other is transformer on and off. So I have to say, that's a pretty nice little touch on the Lionel Thomas. So with all that aside, let's now take a look at what everyone wants to see. Thomas's face. Now, since Lionel has made this model for a very long time, and it's kind of basically hard to keep track, Lionel did do a really good job with the face. His eyes do look pretty cute. They kind of remind me of the Tomy 1992 Thomas with the painted face with the Pac-Man eyes, or the one with the plastic face. But still, the eyes do look really nice. The eyebrows do look pretty accurate to the character, as well as his smile. This Thomas face reminds me more of seasons 2 to 4. And I think Lionel did a really good job with that, compared to with Bachman's Thomas model, where they basically just went off some of the promo art. But still, the Lionel Thomas face does look really nice. So, overall, the Lionel Thomas does look really nice. Is it a perfect O-scale model of Thomas? No. I do think it is a fantastic model, though, for the younger audience who does want to get into O-gauge model railroading. And I'm going to give this Thomas about a 9 out of 10, along with a 5 out of 5 stars. But we're not done yet, though, with the model. There's one more thing I did forget to mention. That the Lionel Thomas comes with 3 interchangeable faces. And here they are. So, one thing I did forget to mention is, when Lionel did release their Thomas, they did give him 3 interchangeable faces, which we're going to take a look at now. Thomas comes with a surprise face, if you want to have him be surprised like in Thomas's train. A tired face, as seen in Terrence the Tractor, which I think Lionel did a pretty good job with the face, as well as an angry face. Now, these faces that did come with Thomas, I think Lionel did a pretty good job making them pretty dang accurate to the television series. And I do hope, too, that Bachman can do the same thing with their Thomas line. Now, if you do want to add these to the model, what you do is, you get your face, and you gently slide it onto the unit. Like that. Now, the thing is, too, with this, is you have to be really careful to not, like, pull off the face, otherwise it may damage the unit. So, yeah. Overall, though, in conclusion, the Lionel Thomas is a fantastic model. Is it the best O-gauge Thomas? No, but it's a decent model. And I'm really glad that Lionel, to this day, is continuing to make their Thomas line to get those interested in the model, in the O-scale model department. So before we do give Thomas a run, let's take a quick look at Annie and Clarabelle. So, here is the Lionel, Annie, and Clarabelle. And I have to say, Lionel did do a pretty good job with these models as well. Let's take a look at Annie first. So since Annie and Clarabelle are the same coach, Lionel did do a pretty good job with the detailing on both of these coaches. Plus, you can also remove the roof in case you want to put passengers inside, you want to add detail, stuff like that. The faces on these coaches are pretty nice, I have to say. Annie, of course, has her iconic shock face, which does look pretty nice. The buffer detailing is also really well done as well, along with the knuckle coupler. And if you take a look at the back of the coach, it's pretty much the same thing. Knuckle coupler, you got the buffer detailing, stuff like that. And on the side of the model, as you see here, the handrail detailing does look really nice, alongside with Annie's name. I think Lionel did a pretty good job with the detailing on Annie. Now let's take a look at Clarabelle. So Clarabelle, she also is pretty well designed as well. She and Annie basically have the same tooling. Clarabelle's face is pretty nice and pretty accurate to the show. This face reminds me more of how she was in Terrence the Tractor all the way back in season 1 or season 2. But that's besides the point. The face itself does look nice, alongside with the side of the model and Clarabelle's name. And just like Annie, Clarabelle has back buffer detailing in the front and back, and she also has a knuckle coupler as well, to attach to Annie and Thomas. So overall, in conclusion, the Lionel, Annie, and Clarabelle that came with Thomas are phenomenal models. And it's a good thing too that Lionel has re-released these guys. Now, these are really great models and definitely a perfect addition to their Lionel Thomas. And a little fun fact for you guys. These aren't the only Annie and Clarabelle they've released. Lionel has also re-released a Christmas version as well as a ready-to-play version. When we get closer to the holiday season of this year, we will be taking a look at the Christmas ones. But overall though, the Lionel, Annie, and Clarabelle is amazing, and a perfect addition to the Lionel Thomas. So now, with that said, I think it's time we give Thomas a run on his branch line. Okie dokie. So we have Thomas now on the tracks. Let's give him a run. Sorry about that, guys. I do experience some delays with my transformer, so just give me one moment here. Ah, there we go. All right, Thomas, off you go. Well, anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this full tour review and run on the Lionel 2004 Thomas the Tank Engine. Now, there is one thing I did forget to mention before I sign off. That whenever Thomas does move down the track, his eyes do move side to side. And if you're ever interested in purchasing a Lionel Thomas, his mainly suggested retail price is right at $140. And regarding the set, if you want to buy the set with Thomas alongside with his two faithful coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, the set that this Thomas came in, numbered 6-31956, brand new will cost around $227, and if you want to get the Bluetooth version, that'll be right at $200 to $300. But if you go to a Lionel dealer to get that set, you could get a discount off that retail price. Well, anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this Lionel Thomas review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to tap the notification bell to get every single notification And stay tuned for more Thomas and Friends videos just like this. Well, this has been the Real Trains of Marvel Fan 2002, signing off. Bye-bye.